What's that Mountain Dew ball being worth 3 or whatever? What is this?
What happened to the Saints?
What is this?
On today's episode of Titus and Tate, we will be talking to our good buddy from SB Nation, Card Chronicle, Mike Rutherford.
No plugs though. Don't say those.
He does
things.
not want
Wipe those out.
He asked us not to plug anything. Mike is he's a Louisville guy. He has never been on any iteration of our podcast. I didn't realize this until.
Despite being a listener of every iteration and letting us know that every single time we see him. So we are obviously the bad guys here.
So, the way this worked is like I reached out. It hit me that he never came on any of our previous podcasts, even though I talk to him all the time, and he's a college basketball media guy and what have you. So then I reached out to him a couple weeks ago. I was like, hey, you should come on the show when we figure it out. And he's like, would love to. And then, of course, I waited till Louisville lost 2 in a row and relinquished.
And here he is.
The
Perfect.
top spot in the ACC.
Right on time.
We talked to him. He's always fun. He fits the show is how I describe him. If you're not familiar with Mike, he fits the show. He gets the show. He understands that college basketball is
a joke.
It's pretty much a joke, yeah. And it should be treated as such, and we should all just have a ton of fun with it and not take ourselves too seriously. So we have that to look forward to. We're also going to talk a little bit about the All-Star game.
Yes.
You were in Chicago.
I was in Chicago. I was not at the actual All-Star game. I did not watch the actual All-Star game, despite being at the All-Star, all the other mini scenarios. But what I learned about the NBA All-Star...
You didn't go to the game and you didn't watch the game.
Because you know what I learned? It's not about basketball. The All-Star, the whole event is not about basketball. It's about corporations, folks. And, take it in, soak it in.
You're one of those guys.
I was there for sponsorship opportunities for us. I'm like, Mountain Dew, we do a podcast. They're like, yeah, we don't care. Yeah.
So you did the thing that people do at the Final Four that I like scratch my head about, like how they come in for the weekend, they don't go to any of the games, they're just kind of there.
No, it was the exact. So Sunday night it was basically dead. A lot of people left because they had been there from Tuesday to Saturday partying. Yeah, and then they left because they had to go back to work on Monday.
There it is.
You know what I mean, a lot of Bacardi reps that had to fly back for work in Miami on Monday.
We're going to talk about Tate's experience in Chicago, our thoughts on just the whole weekend in general, because we watched it all, and I thought it was a fun All-Star weekend. Also, the rumor mill is heating up, Tate. It is getting absolutely crazy. We have John Beilein rumors. We have Jay Wright rumors. I'm not sure if you saw these. There's a lot of that kind of stuff we have to talk about. Also, Maryland, I think, is going to do it.
Also, Maryland should be the name of this college basketball season. Also, Maryland. They're still here. They're still playing. They're still winning. We still don't want to talk about it.
We're going to get to all of it, but first,
Woody Durham.
All right, it is Monday night. We just witnessed yet another heartbreaking, devastating. What other word could we use to describe what?
We did not witness. We observed. We were not watching.
What just happened to the North Carolina Tar Heels? It continues to happen. It's the same story over and over. It's just on a continuous loop. The only thing that changes is the jerseys of the other team.
And Cole Anthony's like accessory of the evening. Like tonight, he decided to wear a headband over his eyes for whatever reason. Then he had a laceration on his forehead against Virginia. He was bleeding.
An all-time great picture. One of the great college basketball pictures that I think those of us who are not North Carolina fans are licking our lips at the picture of Cole Anthony's bloodied face just laying on the floor.
Yelling, why do I always get hurt? And we're all agreeing, like, yeah, why?
And
what's going on here?
And we're very excited about being able to use that picture for just the rest of time and replying to
all
tweets.
I heard in my head was, why? Why?
It really was perfect because, like, like Cole Anthony was fine ultimately, but the picture looks horrible. So it's great you can like now kind of make fun of him about it. The picture is just so fun. It's the Aaron Kraft. It's basically that's your version of the Aaron Kraft laying there after losing a date with his hands behind his head. Now that's going to be the picture people just tweet at you when you're like. When next year you tweet, damn, this Carolina team can't get it
Caleb
together.
Love,
yeah. Damn, we just lost a game. There's just gonna be 5 replies at least of the Cole Anthony picture.
Well, we did hear that Cole Anthony, through Greg Anthony, his dad, of course. If you didn't know, they show him 49 times during every single game he's at. But he said that Cole Anthony may come back to North Carolina.
Oh, this is great news.
Which North Carolina fans have to say there are no spots left. The scholarships have been taken. You're a one and done. You have to go to the NBA. We're sorry. See you later, Cole. It's been a fun run. We wish you the best. That's where we are in North Carolina. Yeah, they continue to lose. They continue to get up by 10-plus points, and I think their record now is 3-5 with games that they've been up 10 in the second half.
Here's a spin for you. You could take this season because I tweeted this right before we came on.
Is this a lesson learned?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you how to spin this. So I tweeted right before we came on that the Carolina is bad. They're horrible. They're playing very uninspiring basketball. Roy has given up on the team. The fans have given up on the team. The team has given up on the team. But even in the face of all of that, they are still hilariously unlucky as well, and they keep losing on last-second shots. They lost to Virginia on a last-second shot.
watched
They just
that
lost
game.
to Notre
Yes.
Dame on a last-second shot.
Yes, I watched that
Do you
game.
remember the Duke game when Trey Jones?
Do
you remember that?
Funny enough, I watched that game as well.
So here's what you do, Tate. You spin this into saying this is your punishment for the academic thing. Now no one can ever say anything to you again. You can be like, we clean our hands of it. This is we served our punishment. We're all even.
Not the 2016 title game.
right.
Not when Chris Jenkins hit the shot. That wasn't the punishment.
We're all even. Yeah,
that's
what it is.
Okay, I'll take that. I will say this: Roy Williams this is the first time he's lost 6 games, right?
Ever?
No, yeah. Well, first time North Carolina's lost 6 straight games since 2001.
6 in a row. This is 6 in a row.
6 in a row. Again,
Oh my
various
Lord.
satanic numbers. 6.
Is it for real? Is this the first time Roy has ever lost 6 in a row?
No,
in his
the last
career?
time he did that was his first year at Kansas when they
Oh.
were on probation because of Larry Brown. So that was in 1988 for people that don't understand that, or actually 1988, 89. Yes, exactly. So Roy Williams never been in this position before. There was a tweet that went out. Muffet, right? She put out a tweet asking for Steve Kerr to come and say that the champions, we're not doing well this year.
Yeah, this is we're starting a support group for former champions that are not doing so well. And Muffet was like, ha 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 ha, everything. I'm
It's
having a
not
bad
funny.
year, but I want to
Yeah.
get back on track. And Roy was like, shoot me in the head. This
Yes.
is
He's
I
like,
hate my
he's like
team."
dadgummit. The boys aren't listening. He even said this after the video game. He said, I keep telling them what to do, but they will not do it. And I don't know how else
I tell them to put the ball in the basket, and they're not doing it. I don't understand what else I need to tell these kids.
So I'm saying, Roy, go out there and you do it yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you got to get the job done yourself. It is funny, like in college basketball, and I heard a lot about this weekend, right? We're at the NBA All-Star game, and there's NBA people. And NBA people, the thing that they love the most about themselves is that they are NBA people.
oh.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say the thing they love the most about themselves is themselves. But yes.
Yeah, well,
yes.
and what's the main thing they have going for themselves? Being an NBA person.
Yes.
So they want to tell you about the difference in the game. But the one thing I enjoyed was the perception of these college coaches, which is, I don't care about these players, right? Necessarily as far as like what they're going to do on the court. I care about my system, right? So Roy is running
it's the
his
front of the
system.
jersey, not the back. Yeah,
exactly.
Of course.
But for everyone, for the coaches themselves. But in reality, when you have that mindset and you don't cater anything to the specific talent that you have on your team, it does seem like a ridiculous proposition. You know what I mean? Like, and that was the whole NBA take this weekend when I would bring up college basketball. They're like, why do they just run these systems? Like, why is Tony Bennett, no matter what, going to run his system, irregardless of the talent that's in building or in the house for them? You know what I mean? So that was the big NBA takeaway. But second to that, Roy Williams is not going to change, and I think he's down to lose this year because he wants to get all the expectations back down low, get all the Carolina fans stirred up, get them saying, we got to get rid of Roy, get him out of here, and then. Fine, let that happen. 4 McDonald's All-Americans come in. Cole Anthony is forced to transfer, whatever he has to do. He has to go somewhere.
Can you imagine Cole
then they're
Anthony
back.
transferring and sitting out a year?
I think he has to transfer. I think he has to.
Enough
back.
about North Carolina.
I know
It's, but I said we're done talking about North Carolina a million different times, but they keep pulling us back in because they keep losing, and that is the other spin is like North Carolina knows that no one would going to talk about them.
Yes,
they're playing the headline game. They're like, how can we get people to still talk about us all season? Let's lose on a last second 3, 12 games in a row. Let's see if we can do it. Let's see if we can break the record.
What is the takeaway of Cole Anthony from all of this? You know what I mean? Everyone keeps saying to me, like, what? This is going to hurt us in recruiting. It's not going to hurt North Carolina recruiting.
I will say, as much as you don't like Cole Anthony, as easy as it is to make jokes about Cole Anthony,
I dislike Cole
100%
Anthony's basketball playing.
Yeah,
I think he's a great kid.
I do 100% think he deserves, in all seriousness, deserves a ton of respect for like actually coming back and playing because he very easily could have shut it down. He very easily, North Carolina was like out of the tournament almost certainly, even when he came back. So he kind of came back for quote unquote nothing to play for, and he still chose to do that. And a lot of guys in that situation wouldn't. So for that reason, he has to command a little respect, Tate.
There's a little bit of me that thinks that Cole Anthony might be a plant. You know what I mean? I think he may be a Duke plant that he was sent over to bring us to the bridge, right to the line of saying, we're going to win this basketball game. Of course, it's going to happen. And then just break your heart. And this has happened before. People that don't remember, Jason Capel, brother of Jeff Capel, he did this to Joseph Forte. After Joseph Forte was National Player of the Year, or ACC Player of the Year, could have been National Player of the Year in 2001, comes back, Jason Capel's like, I'm the leading scorer. I'm the best player on this team. And basically froze him out and ruined Joseph Forte. And I always thought to myself, Duke plant. Cole Anthony's getting there. He's getting close. He's getting close. I don't know.
Let's talk about All-Star Weekend. You're in Chicago.
Yes.
Give us the overall vibe of All-Star. This is your first All-Star Weekend
Yes.
that you were in attendance for?
Yes.
Yeah, you said you already gave us a hint that it's
Well,
very
does
corporate.
LA count? I mean, I mean,
It doesn't count.
we live here. Yeah.
LA never counts.
Yeah, it
for
doesn't
anything.
count. Yeah. This is the first time I've been out of Los Angeles for All-Star game. Yes.
Not even for All-Star. Does LA count? Just be the question.
No, yeah, that's UCLA basketball. Doesn't count.
Does it count? I don't know.
11 titles. Doesn't count.
What is the overall takeaway if you had to describe for the listeners at home that are like, where is it next year? Do we even know?
It's
do we
in
have
Cleveland,
the technology?
right?
It is in Cleveland.
Oh no, it's Indianapolis.
Oh,
it's in. Let me tell you this. It's
It's
Indianapolis. This is why
it was already Cleveland. No, it's Cleveland's coming up. Okay,
the
go
NBA
ahead.
people told me this. They said this is the last All-Star game you'll see me for 3 years, and they said, and I was like, what? And then it was Indianapolis is next year, Cleveland's after that, and then it's Salt Lake City.
Oh yeah.
So those are the 3 hitters coming up.
Oh, so the NBA people are just outwardly not even trying to hide how
they're
much
like, this is our last hurrah.
Yeah,
We're gonna blow
they
this out.
outwardly hate Middle America.
Yes,
Yeah. So the
yes,
suspicion
yes,
that they hate
the
Middle America
elitists,
is
yes,
because,
they are there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's in Indy next year.
Yes.
That's all. Well, I'm okay. So explain to me, Tate. I'm going to go.
Mhm.
My hometown. One of like 4 different hometowns I claim.
Mhm.
I'm going to go to the All-Star game. Explain to me what I can expect in my people back home that are excited for.
You
All-Star
can expect branding. You can expect, little installations. You can expect pop-up shops. You can expect, James Harden yelling at Adidas people that he is not going to come out and take this promo shoot because he does not have time for that.
Yeah.
You can expect lots of things that are really interesting, and also you can expect basketball to be an afterthought. Right? Basketball is not the primary focus of All-Star Weekend. I was there for Mitchell and Ness. I was
Basketball's
there
not
for
the
a brand.
Well,
I was not there for basketball.
I
That's
would
the
argue
thing.
basketball is not the primary focus of the NBA, so it all works
Exactly.
out.
Bingo. And there we are, which is why I left this whole weekend saying to myself, what is the point of the NBA? Other than the fact that, like, I think that it's become choreography, right? Even the first quarter of the All-Star game is basically like, let's just like run next to this guy, let him get his dunk. Let's let Trae Young do his thing. Let's let him hit his half-court shot like Jason Kidd did in 2001. It's all choreographed. It's all staged. And if you believe that it's not, you obviously believe wrestling is real. You know what I mean? Like, and that's who you are, and that's your life. You know what I mean?
Wrestling.
And,
Apologies to Fox for the SmackDown company.
but regardless, that's what.
Sorry,
I
Vince McMahon. We did not mean that.
Seeing it up close, everyone has their own brand. They're all trying to uphold who they are and be who they're supposed to be on the basketball court. And even in Chicago, right? The common intro that we get, like he does the full like Chicago. You know, that was a whole.
I learned in that moment either Common is very, very uncool or I am very, very uncool. And or maybe possibly both of us. I'm probably the uncool one, but I thought that was the corniest, dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. But I also admit maybe I'm washed up and maybe I don't know what's cool anymore, but that was horrible from my perspective.
You're onto something. So let's break it down.
Okay.
So the first person they show up on the screen, right? Derrick Rose. Well, let's think about that. We're in Chicago. Derrick Rose probably should have been an All-Star. We showed Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is in Chicago, but nobody wants Derrick Rose to be on the stage.
Yeah.
Like, for whatever reason. That makes no sense. Common.
He's
again,
actually having a decent season.
he's an All-Star. He would have been an All-Star, right? He should be an All-Star. If his name was, I don't know, any other player that the NBA actually wants to vouch for,
Ooh, okay.
he probably would have been an All-Star. But regardless, we'll throw that away. So Derrick Rose is actually in Chicago. He's the first Chicago player they show. They don't invite him to be on the stage. No one understands that. Kanye West is sitting right over here, right? They're playing his music. Common is rapping on top of it. He is from Chicago. He's sitting right there, and they do not invite him to be a part of this. And like, again, this is the whole branding experience of like, who is Chicago? We're going to decide who is Chicago tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, and I love the Kobe Bryant and the Kobe Bean experience and making it about Kobe. And the fourth quarter is great. We'll talk about that. That was a good part of this.
Yeah.
But even that, the whole showcase ended up being like this whole promotional video. Again, that had nothing to do with basketball. It was beautiful. People were very excited. But I'm sitting there at the hotel eating dinner, watching this, thinking to myself, what is going on?
Yeah.
And I'm so deluded by the idea of that every brand is running everything. I don't know who's in control of this promo video, but it's some brand.
It highlighted to me the whole intro of Common doing spoken word and like I'm tuning into this game.
I'm like, is Olive Garden profiting off this? Is McDonald's? Bro, who is profiting?
I'm tuning into this game. The pitch is we take all the best players in the world, we put them on a court, and we see what happens when it gets competitive. And I'm like, yes, I'm in.
Okay.
And then I turn on my TV, and I'm like, I can't wait to watch all the best players in the world play basketball. And it's Common. It's like Clinic, Kawhi Leonard, not Kelly Olynyk, but Kawhi Leonard. that rhymes with clinic.
Yes.
And you're like, that doesn't
Yes.
rhyme, Common.
Yes.
What are you saying? And I'm watching the whole thing, and I realized this is a
You
microcosm.
might have to boast it. You might know him as Nikola Jokic.
Okay.
You're like, what?
No.
Huh? What, Common?
I'm watching this is a microcosm of the NBA in the sense that it's cool, I guess. I don't know. But it's not basketball.
No.
It's like you're alienating.
Yes, it's ballet at best.
You know how many people? You know how many like boomers and like middle America turned on their TV because they were the same. Let me see what this NBA stuff is. And they turn it on
Yes.
there, and they immediately just turn the TV off. Like I'm not watching that.
back
bullshit.
to the XFL.
Yeah, exactly. And you have a league that's like Adam Silver is scratching his head. He's saying we have the coolest league in the world. Everybody loves it. I get on the internet and all the teens are tweeting about us, and yet no one's watching our games. I don't understand what's going on. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe that 45-minute intro with Common, and then Shaka Khan comes out and makes everyone's ears bleed with this national anthem. I don't
Love
know.
Shaka Khan.
Shout out
Big
to
fan
the
of Shaka
yeah.
Khan.
Shout out to the lady from Saskatchewan that they come out to sing the Canadian national. I was dying at that too because like the whole theme is like for the culture of Chicago, and it's just
Yeah.
all about everybody from Chicago. and,
Janice
like,
Morissette walks out or whatever.
and they're like, to Singo Canada, we got this bumpkin from Saskatchewan. she's gonna play her guitar. and her-
Sing the tune.
Oh man, what a scene! Yeah, I get like making it a big show because it is cool. Like you can't just like play one game. I guess you have to like make it a whole weekend and make it fun for everybody. But like, is that the answer? Having Common do spoken word? I don't think so. I don't know.
It's not Common's fault, by the way. It's just the whole thing.
Common is overexposed too. Like you can't be a dunk contest judge and do the spoken word. Like him and Chance the Rapper word everything,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Like if you're their agent, you have to say, pick one. You pick one thing.
Let's
And
talk about the dunk
Okay,
contest.
get into the
Let's
dunk
get
contest. Let's go.
contest.
Okay.
All right, so Chance the Rapper, right? Real life version of Chance the Rapper. Not a tall guy, right? Great rapper, great artist, wants to be an actor. He's going to change his name to Chance the Actor. Okay. He's 5'3", 5'5", 5'6", somewhere in that range. He's getting jumped over, and he's a part of these dunks. And it's supposed to be this, whole mesmerizing moment. We got Zach Lavine doing practice. So Zach Lavine put out this video of him trying to do a 360 from the free throw line. Again, he's not in the dunk contest.
He's in the 3-point contest.
But he put the video out, and everyone
Maybe he was
going
going to do that in the 3-point contest. Jump from the 3-point line and dunk
Well,
it.
it took over that first day because everyone's like, "You see Lavine?" I'm like, "Is he gonna like? Why is he practicing that?" And they're like, "I think he's working on his 3 points. He's gonna jump from the 3-point line, whatever." Anyways, all that's happening leading up to this. Aaron Gordon, there's all these people around Aaron Gordon that want him to get his like validation as a great dunker, like leading us into this event. But meanwhile, the judges, which it used to be Dominique Wilkins, Vince Carter, Michael Jordan, people
Right.
over there that you're just kind of
Right.
like, if Dr. J says you're a great dunker, George
Yes.
Gervin says you're a great dunker, I respect.
remember
that.
the one
If the
dunk-
Black Panther
Yeah.
says that you're the best dunker, I have questions. Chadwick. I mean, have you been watching dunks over the years? Are you ready for this? And not only that, you have a guy who is a judge in Dwayne Wade, who is a fix, who is a
Right.
plant for the Miami
Right.
Heat, who convinced an entire group of people that he was going to be upright and vote like he was supposed to, and then gypped the whole thing by being like, "Here's a 9," and then walked away.
And then,
Come out.
but he wasn't the only one that gave 9s. I
Yes.
think what happened on the final one was D-Wade
It's
saw
heating up in here. I'm upset. I feel bad for Aaron Gordon.
D-Wade saw his boy get screwed because Derrick Jones does a windmill from the free throw line, basically
Yes,
a step inside the
yes.
free throw line. Nasty dunk. If you're giving out 10, they're giving out 10s like it's candy.
But Zach
And then-
Lavine had the same thing before, right? His foot,
Yeah.
the last time he did his foot was like a little bit past the free throw line.
Well,
Maybe a little too
the
far.
whole free throw line thing has ruined the dunk contest in the sense
Yes.
that if your foot is not behind the line, everyone's like not impressed. It wasn't behind the line. It's like, well, did you see the other part where I windmilled it? Did you see like
No, did not.
It's like, well, you're on the. This isn't the long jump. It's not like
Chadwick
a football.
Boseman is like, did not see that.
Yeah.
Not watching for that.
The Chadwick Boseman, yeah, foot fault doesn't count. You're over the line. So I think that was the problem, was that should have been a 10. If you're giving out 10s to everything else, that is 100% a 10. They did not get, who was it? Bozeman and Candace Parker, right? Correct? They gave 9s to that one. So I think D Wade said, well, I'm giving a 9 for sure to whatever Aaron Gordon does. And that was his plan. But then I feel like Candace and Bozeman both said to themselves, we screwed up. We have to give 9s again. And I think what happened was a little game theory where everyone was trying to force a tie on purpose. and they overshot it and gave too many 9s. That's my theory.
Yeah,
and I
blame
think,
math.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happened.
And
also
D-Wade,
blame Dwayne
and
Wade
then
for
you blame
saying,
Dwayne
for
Wade.
sure I'm giving it a 10. 9. And then getting up and walking away and dapping up Derek Jones and being like, we did it. Let's go Miami Heat.
You hit the nail on the head that like everyone was so everyone's losing their minds about the sanctity of the dunk contest and how could Aaron Gordon be he could be arguably the greatest dunker in dunk contest history, yet he's never won
Since
this thing.
2016, yeah.
And how could this happen? And oh my God, our dunk contest judges, if you're gonna hold it in such esteem, the contest, you cannot have Black Panther be one of your judges. You can't have both. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like we know what we signed up for. The moment
Yes.
that Common and Black Panther were on the panel, you had to say to yourself, "Oh, this is just a fun exercise. Like we're not actually like this doesn't affect your Hall of Fame candidacy."
Yes, I mean
whether you
we're
win this
one
thing.
step away from DJ Khaled being up there,
Yeah.
saying that's an 8. You know what I mean? Like of all people to be judging you, it should be like Candace Parker. I'm fine with Candace Parker doing the dunk contest and judging it, or like. But again, all this celebrity, this
As
goes
former
back to the
dunk
branding.
contest judges ourselves,
exactly.
yes, we
We've
should
been there.
mention
We know
that,
the
yeah.
pressure.
Yeah.
We understand it, and especially if you're not going to be on TV and they're trying to cut away from you because you keep putting up 69 every single time. it honestly really gets to you, and you start getting in your head about it. So I understand that. So maybe D-Wade got in his own head. Can we talk about the Miami Heat conundrum here? Because Duncan Robinson, a friend of the program,
He blew it.
was involved in this.
He blew it.
So Duncan Robinson was supposed to come during the day and come and get some free swag, as they say at these events. This is what the brand said. They're like, come get some free swag. And they bring you these places and they give you bags of stuff. Again, ridiculous. Like here, this is where we are at the All-Star game. Duncan's like, I got to focus on the 3-point contest because D-Wade and all these other guys, they're really getting at me because they're like, you're not invited to anything.
Bam Adebayo won the skills challenge.
Yes.
Derek Jones was a heavy favorite for the dunk contest,
Thanks
which he
to
ended up
D-Wade
winning. Yeah,
fixing it,
D-Wade, it's the D-Wade show because he's in Chicago. He's from Chicago.
So they're
Just retired,
ignoring
all that.
poor Duncan, right? They're
Yeah.
like, you're not invited to anything because you have to be locked in and win the 3-point contest. So that day he's like, I'm not even gonna come. I gotta win. I'm locked in. I'm focused. It's all gonna work out. I'm gonna win this thing. And he's sure. And I'm like taking a screenshot of it because I'm like, he's gonna win, and I'm gonna put it out. I'm like, Duncan called this.
Yeah.
None of that happened. And it's not Duncan's fault. And I blame D-Wade again. And it's the pressure of the Miami Heat and the way this whole thing was fixed. And that was honestly the story of the weekend. It was like these little back channeling, like the things all for the brand of the Miami Heat. You know, Pat Riley's in the crowd just sitting there, just like waiting for all 3 of the guys to win. There's all these little like side stories that were all going on behind the scenes. And poor Duncan was in the middle of it. So I tried to say it's not his fault.
He just didn't make shots.
Yeah,
I think
it's not
that's
his fault.
ultimately it. He would have
Also,
won the
what is that
3-point
Mountain
contest.
Dew ball? What is that Mountain Dew ball being worth 3 or whatever? What is this?
What happened to the Saint?
What is this Mountain Dew?
Again, but there's like a
I
sanctity.
do love Mountain Dew though. I would love to drink some.
No
Mountain
free
Dew.
ads.
Yeah,
No
okay,
free ads.
Yeah, but
Sponsor the pod, Mountain
yeah,
Dew.
come on.
There's a sanctity to the 3-point contest as well that like we
sanctity.
look back on it and like we glorify those who win the 3-point contest. Legends such as Daquan Cook of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yes.
But at the same time, you throw in like the Mountain Dew ball. It's you can't have both worlds. So like, quit taking these things seriously. That's my final point on the dunk contest. Quit taking it seriously. They shouldn't even judge it. Or they should do what they should do is not judge individual dunks. I think they should really. Did you see Bill? You remember Bill Simmons?
No, who's that?
He on his podcast today with Ryan Russillo, he'd said they should do a masked singer thing where all the judges are masked and
Oh,
you
that's pretty
judge
good.
you judge
I
the whole
kinda like
thing.
that. Yeah, there's
and
no
then
bias.
And then you
Yeah.
take the mask off at the end and you find out like which judge was screwing you the whole time. All that kind of. It's pretty funny. That's a good one. But I think they should see all.
Oh my gosh, it's the Black Panther. He just does the Wakanda forever.
Chadwick Boseman has a Black Panther mask on. It's like the gift.
Is that a mask on a mask? Yes.
It's like the gif of Sting, the wrestler. You know what I'm talking about? He's got the Sting mask on. He pulls it up
the same thing. That's always good.
What was I saying? They should do all the dunks of round 1, and then you vote on the guy who won. Not like the individual dunk doesn't get a 50 or a 49 or whatever. It's like we see all the dunkers round 1 dunks, and we say, okay, Aaron Gordon won that round for me, and then each of the 5 pick a player, right? Isn't that the obvious solution to
like
this?
that. Yeah.
Like, how hard is that? Just see them all, and then it helps with like the inflation because like the poor Pat Connaughton never had a chance because he was going early on. That like
All right,
you're
let's
not
just
giving out
be-
50s
yeah,
out of the gate. So
yeah.
like
Look,
I don't know.
the white men can't jump trope is dead. You know what I mean? Pat Connaughton, I like what he was trying to do. I like the whole idea. You know, he was trying to make it a whole moment. It just didn't work. I mean, Dwight Howard trying to make it a whole moment again.
The Dwight Howard trope is dead.
I mean,
just in general, the Dwight Howard.
Yeah,
just
it's
in general.
like, yeah, gotta go. And then The funniest part to me, and this comes back to the branding side of this, is that in the dunk contest, the reason that it kept going, right? The reason that the production kept going, the reason that they kept making these guys do dunks, despite them getting 50s against each other over and over and over again, is because the corporate sponsors were saying, let's keep it going. This is entertainment.
Yeah.
This is what the people want. And poor Aaron Gordon, all he's thinking to himself is, I have done all I can do. What do you want from me?
Yeah.
And the crowd's like, Taco, Taco, Taco. And poor Taco's like, I don't want to do this. Shaq's like, I'm definitely not doing this. And then Taco walks out there. He gives the people what they want. He jumps over him, I guess.
Rubs his nuts on his neck, but we'll call it.
Yeah, close enough. I mean, for 7'6", jumps over the man, dunks it. And you think to yourself, finally. Like, he gets the moment. Like, finally, Aaron Gordon. I never have to hear about Aaron Gordon ever again. You know, it's over. Like, we've done it. Like, we gave him his championship. It's done. And sure enough, now he wants to be in the 3-point contest. Now he's done with the dunk contest.
He wants to be in the
That's what he said. So I guess that's like the new thing. If you can't win the dunk contest, or maybe if you do like Zach Lavine, you just go to the 3-point contest.
This is a great idea. Aaron Gordon,
sad.
someone should you said it's all about branding. Here's a brand idea. One of these young players should make their brand, I'm the all-star guy that never makes the all-star game. But like I dominate all. Maybe that's Zach Lavine. Has he been an all-star game?
No.
Maybe that's going to be the Zach Lavine thing. Is like, I do everything. I win the skills challenge. I win the dunk contest. I win the 3-point contest. I try to win it all every year. That's the Nate Robinson, I guess. He did that as well.
Yes.
It's a great brand, right?
Yeah.
Isn't Nate Robinson's profile like so much higher because he participated in all that stuff every time?
Absolutely.
Like,
and he would also just go and play video games, like
Yeah.
Best Buys with
Yeah.
people. And everyone's like, Nate's a great guy.
it's a great idea. Final thought on the All-Star game. Did you like the Elam ending? The idea of it.
I like the idea that Chris Paul had, which was what actually happened. And so I want to give him the credit. I feel like
What?
a lot of people keep saying, what a great decision by the NBA. It's like, this was a Chris Paul motivated idea that he did, I guess, with the TBT team. I don't know any about the background.
The basketball tournament's been using the Elam ending for years.
Yeah, okay, there you go. So I don't watch it.
But Chris Paul is
it's not
trying
on
to take-
Fox, right? TBT's not on Fox.
No, it's on a competitor.
Yeah, never watched it. Yeah. Even
no-
though I played in it one year, but I never watched
Ohio
it.
State won it last year, remember? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we watched it.
Oh, yeah, we watched it. You
watched it.
Yeah, it's been Chris Paul claimed that
He invented this. Yes.
That's why it's famously called the Chris Paul.
Well,
ending.
no, that's what
Not
everyone
that.
says. Yeah. I call it the Paul. Yeah. So I thought that was cool. I had to watch that on replay again. I was listening to some older players who were so disgruntled with the first quarter, second quarter that they were honored, and then they left the game and went back to the hotel. And that is you talk about a generational divide. That is where we are in basketball. And the other funny part about the whole All-Star weekend is that the Chicago Bulls, for people that don't know, they play in Chicago. And there's a lot of Chicago Bulls players around. Like, I saw Craig Hodges around, he's just like walking around, 3-time, 3-point champion. No one seemed to really, you know what I mean?
No
It
one
was
cared.
weird how Michael Jordan was around. But did you ever see Michael Jordan besides that one promo picture where
Like,
he's standing over the city? It's like, why were we
Why
seeing
was
more of
Magic
him?
rambling at the start of the thing and not Jordan? Why did Magic come out and give the? Because I guess it was the Kobe thing.
Let me
'cause
just
he had
be
to give
honest
the
with you.
Kobe
Michael
speech,
Jordan was at
but,
the
like,
hotel. He was not at the game, and this is the generational divide.
All right, that's
This is
our
what we're
All-Star
dealing
thing.
with.
I lied. I had one other thought I wanted to say. You didn't know this because you didn't watch the game.
Aaron
but
Gordon deserved it.
They were doing the winners of like each quarter donated
to the
kids.
Yeah.
The kids were actually there in the arena.
Let me
and they're
point out. Let me
cutting to the
point out
kids.
again. Let me point out again. Those kids are corporate. Those kids are on a stage,
Are the
and everyone around
children
them is
of-
Mountain Dew. Everyone around them is American Express, and these kids are just in these little pockets, and everyone else is working. And I don't like it. I don't like it. And it's okay.
Are you saying they were plants? They're not the actual kids. that
Well, they are the
benefiting-
kids, but the kids, they're there to be like, look at how these kids.
I just
are
found
getting
it.
great
I
seats.
found it just like diabolical that they're cutting. Like I don't know. Giannis has a big dunk to like go up big or whatever. And they
They're
cut
like
to
fist pumping.
no. They're cutting to Team LeBron, and Team LeBron's like, oh no, we're getting no money for our after school program. The funding's being cut. Oh my god, why would Giannis do this to us?
Smart boards.
Team Giannis is sucking it across the arena. You got
But
two 9-year-old
they're
kids.
donating anyway. So for all of us who think you were laughing
Yeah,
about
they
this,
did-
Giannis is
they
donating
did.
to his team as well,
They
$100,000. Everyone's getting money. The
That was
kids
the
are
other
getting money.
thing. Like, I mean, I don't mean to be that guy that's like $100,000 is $100,000 or
Yes.
$400. But what? Like, I'm
Yes.
personally giving away $15,000 in a scholarship to a kid, and the NBA is giving away like $400,000. Are you crazy? What? Like, I don't know.
Let me just say this.
That's nothing, Tate, is what I'm saying. It's
Yes.
like that.
Mountain Dew, American Express,
hilarious.
give some of those millions of dollars to those kids.
No kidding. It's fantastic.
Those are the thoughts
I
on
love the
All-Star.
All-Star. The All-Star game was awesome. I love the Elam
How
ending.
little do we talk about the basketball also? This is the whole point of this.
That's
Like,
the point.
It has nothing to do with
I'll talk about
basketball.
it right now. I love the Elam ending. I think everyone complaining about the free throw, like the game ending with the free throw, the alternative.
You haven't watched the NBA with LeBron over the last
Yeah.
decade. Exactly.
If
that would
you
be
don't
your
if you don't let
complaint.
this thing in with the free throw, if you're gonna do the Elam ending, which was awesome and made it awesome and made it competitive and everybody liked it, but they say we can't do the free throw thing. We got to check it back up top. They're gonna foul. It's going to be a bloodbath. These guys are just going to be tackling each other out there, which I guess would be kind of fun to watch. I saw one just random dude on Twitter suggested that. When I say random, I mean I literally was like just reading on Twitter, clicking some blue check mark tweets and looking at the replies of what people were saying. And I found one guy who said this, and maybe this is like a common thought now, but whatever. This one guy said, when you foul, you should check it back up top, but the guy who fouled now has to start the possession on the other opposite baseline. So it's like a momentarily
it's like a
power play.
sprint, Yeah.
I like
kinda
that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that idea. So you're playing 4-on-5 until that one guy can run back that committed the foul.
Kyle
That's a
Lowry's
great
just standing
idea,
there
yeah.
stewing. He's like, I'm gonna hit
Kyle-
him. I'm gonna hit him. They're like, Kyle, calm down.
Kyle
Yeah,
Lowry's gonna take a charge on the guy running back. he's in the backcourt like falling over.
Poor Kawhi Leonard, by the way. I mean, Kawhi Leonard.
I guess it'd
in
be
a-
his teammate.
an amazing game. I mean, a lot of this is like in the All-Star game, as much as it is what it is, like no one's really trying to make a statement. Whoever's the MVP is kind of deciding that game. I want to solidify the fact that I'm the best player in the NBA, right? Giannis did it last year. Kawhi did this year. Kyle Lowry's all over him, so he can't break the 3-point record. He's like, you're not taking another three. It's like, Kyle, stop. Like, no one wants to see that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, we don't need an enforcer that's like, 5'11" out here just trying to hurt people. But it's okay.
We got to talk to our buddy Mike Rutherford. We got to get to this interview. We're rambling too much about the All-Star game. Or should we bump him? Should we just bump Mike? That'd be funny if we just told him we were gonna have him on.
I
and
got
then
to
we
tell
just
you
bump
about
him.
a product at American Express. Now we're gonna get. No, I'm kidding.
All right, this is our interview. We talked with Mike. We talked about the wheels falling off for Louisville in mid-February yet again.
Yet
the
again.
second season in a row. Mike is awesome. He's a ton of fun. Here it is, our interview. Mike Rutherford. All right, joining us now via FaceTime, Skype, whatever technology we're using. We see his beautiful face. He's got the Adidas hat on. He's a company man. He's a brand loyalist. It is Mike Rutherford. Mike, I want to start here and get these two things out of the way. Number one, the wheels are falling off with Louisville. Number two, why do you guys never beat Kentucky? Those were the two questions. I don't want to. I promised you I would not make this entire interview.
And take your time.
Yeah, I promised you this entire interview would not be bad things. So I just want to say those 2 We'll get them out of the way, and then we'll have
Number
some fun.
one, I legit wore the Adidas hat for you guys. Like I had it on earlier when I was shopping,
Yes.
and I was like going to change clothes. I'm like, you know what? I'm keeping it on. Like just for these two dudes, I'm keeping the Adidas hat on. Number two, first of all, I'm excited to be here. I followed. I'm glad that was the lead-in that we had.
Nice deflection.
I have followed the podcast, all 17 iterations over the last 3 years, so I'm pumped to be here. I guess go back to the first question. Wheels falling off, yeah. Like everybody in Louisville's freaking out. This is not what you want in mid-February. It's all anybody's talking about. There's some rumors floating around. It's
we love rumors. We love rumors.
They're not true rumors, which are the best kind. But
Oh yeah.
I think
yes.
I
Please
actually said this during our live show when we did it in Louisville way back a couple of years ago when you guys came in town. The best part about growing up a Louisville fan is that you hear the same two rumors every single year in February and March. And you hear about Kentucky and you hear about Louisville. The second that Louisville loses 2 games in a row in February or Kentucky loses 2 games in a row, there's only one reason. And it's one guard.
Rick Pitino.
Well, back in the day, yeah.
Okay.
The real rumor is always one guard is banging the other guard's girlfriend. And it happens.
Oh,
it happens
yes.
every
Yes.
single year. Like back in the day, it was like DeJuan Wheat and Alvin Sims. And I was a 10-year-old kid, and I'm like, oh, my God, this is incredible. And then you grow up and you realize, like, it was all BS. It was Patrick Sparks and Rajon Rondo at Kentucky when they were struggling. It wasn't Billy Gillespie. It was, that was the original UK struggling. So I'm just saying, keep an ear out for the rumor. It's going to be coming this week at some point.
That's why Evan Turner and I hated each other. I was banging his girlfriend. I've never said that publicly.
That's on the
but,
record,
Yeah, that's
yes.
on that. We can put that on the record now. I think enough time has passed. I like to think that
They're
there's like
past first.
there's like a committee that exists with Louisville who there's like the origin of this rumor every time is the same like 2 or 3 guys, and they all sit around a table and they're like really thinking about it, and they're like, all right, let's see here. All right, we have our names. The names are Darius Perry and Fresh Kimball. submit them.
These guys are like 65
And then they're like,
now.
all right, let's go.
They're like 65 years old now. They're
Yeah.
like, man, we're too old for this. We should not be doing it anymore.
Yeah. Are you aware though? I couldn't believe this. This blew my mind. So last year, you might remember Duke comes back against Louisville and completely ruined your guys' season. You're not the same team. It was an absolute disaster. Are you aware the Georgia Tech game this season was exactly 1 year to the day of the Duke game?
I'm painfully aware.
That the wheels are now. We're here. February 12th seems to be the mark of a Chris Mack team. Can Chris Mack coach to Valentine's Day? This is what people are saying. He limps into Valentine's Day. Is that the rumor? Chris Mack is getting ready for Valentine's Day. Is his wife to blame? Should we go that direction? Let's connect some dots here. What's going on?
Chris Mack
Why is February 12th
about? Yes. Can he?
I'm about to blow your mind here too, because it goes even deeper than this. This goes all the way to the bottom. It's Louisville.
Rick Pitino.
Everything always goes back to Pitino. Louisville last January 2019 only has one loss. It was the first game of the month. They win, I think, 9 straight. And this year, 2020, exact same thing. They lose to Florida State to open the month. They win out. After 5 games in February, 2-3, both years. Saturday against Clemson, you come out, they had zero energy. They played a team that they had just beaten by 20 3 weeks ago and get dominated. And I don't know if you guys watched. Chris Mack benches Jordan Wara. He's like, all right, this is it. Like this is the lineup change everybody's clamoring for. And everybody in Louisville's like, we've been talking about David Johnson starting for a month and a half now. Like, what's going on here? Jordan Wara comes out after the first 4 minutes and looks like he is actively trying to lose the game. Like, he's like, all right, you're going to bench me. This is what I'm going to do. Makes 3 turnovers in the first minute and a half. Hits 1 shot the entire game. Shows no signs of being, inspired or anything like that. It was the worst performance I've seen from a Louisville team in a long, long time as far as expectations are concerned. They've got, I mean, if they don't get it right this week, it's not happening.
As a early adopter to the Wara hate, I feel very vindicated in what's transpired with Wara going. He has 7 points, 8 turnovers, 6 fouls, and the 2 losses. Tate,
and I don't blame him. I don't blame Jordan. I have a whole theory, and I want to run this by you, Mike. And this is all timeline based. So Wake Forest back in the day, right, 2005, 2009 era. They were a team that was competing at the top of the ACC, but they would always get to the top around, mid-January, late January. I remember when they were 16-0 with Dino Gaudio in 2009, and then they just fall apart, get blown out by Cleveland State in the second round. That's what happened in 2009. 2005, same thing. And as I worked through this, I kept saying to myself, well, Chris Mack, this is his problem. This is a Chris Mack problem. But then I did the research. Chris Mack left for Xavier in 2004. Guess who stayed at Wake Forest? Guess who was there in 2005 when they collapsed? Dino Gaudio.
Oh, my God.
And then in 2009, again, 16-0, number 1. Second time they were number 1 in the country. Collapse again. Lose to Cleveland State. Dino Gaudio. Chris Mack comes back to Louisville. He says, I need an assistant here, a guy that's been there, a guy that's, seen it all. Let him sit next to me. In 2018, they lose to Duke, like we said, the Zapruder film. Dino Gaudio is the guy. He can get you to February 12th. And then he will collapse.
And then to bring it full circle.
I don't blame Chris Mack. I blame Dino Gaudio.
To bring it full circle, there are certain Dino Gaudio rumors about guards
Jeff
as well.
It all
about
connects.
collapses
It
with
all
guards.
connects.
Oh, my God. We're doing
Dino
it.
Gaudio.
We just cracked the case. It's Dino Gaudio's for.
If there's any program that can effectively blame an assistant for the issues that it's having at the current time, I think that we are near the top of the list, if not at the top of the list. So this is just, it's a new level. This is like the 3rd season of a TV show where it goes in a completely different direction. So we're still blaming the assistant, but for entirely different reasons. Dino Gaudio's an angel.
Wow. How about that?
I'm just saying.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. Circumstances say it may be Dino's fault.
What about the other part of my 2-part question that I started with? Why don't you guys beat Kentucky? Why does this happen? Why I get so frustrated by this, Mike. I'm sure you probably get a little more frustrated than I do.
Just a little bit. Just a tad bit.
Look, guys.
Explain to me why this is still a rivalry. How is this a rivalry, Mike?
Well, it's not. Louisville's too cool for the rivalry. Like we're
above it.
We're too
it's not,
cool
you
for
guys
it.
aren't rivals. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, look, it's played between Christmas and New Year's. Nobody's watching. Like nobody cares. Like, go crazy, Kentucky. Like, cool, you won a basketball game. We're worried about like kissing girls on New Year's Eve. That's where our focus is.
We're too busy
Let us
kissing
start-
girls.
Sorry, we're kissing.
That's like a,
Exactly.
It's like a sixth.
We're
It's like a sixth
we're
grade.
too cool for this rivalry. I mean, let us start winning some, and maybe we'll start caring again. That's what I'm saying.
You're in sixth grade at the recess, like
Yeah,
talking smack
yes,
to your
yes.
to the bully. You're like,
Exactly.
Yes.
yeah, you kicked my ass, but I was kissing a girl, so.
That's where we are, right? It's kind of like when computers were first starting to get real big,
Yeah.
like late 90s. My family didn't have one, so I, made fun of kids who had computers. Like they were nerds. And even when I got one, I didn't know how to use it. So I was like, nerds suck. And now I quite literally spend all day on a computer and make my entire living off a computer. So when Louisville starts winning again, we'll start caring about the rivalry again.
Yeah, you'll stop kissing.
Exactly.
Back to playing.
What is I promise we'll move away from. Oh God, we
Oh
got
my goodness.
the Virginia poster just fell behind us. That's the
That
one of the
says a lot about Virginia.
I think
It
that's a
might be
sign.
over.
I think that's a sign.
Yeah.
That
It was
might be
fun.
it. That might
Tony
be.
Bennett.
We have a Virginia
Yeah.
poster hanging in the studio and it just
It's
fell.
over. It's
Just
over.
the yeah. All right. My final Louisville question, because we really don't want to. I
We don't wanna belabor
texted
the
you to
point.
come on the
Yes.
show, and you're like, "Oh my God, perfect timing. Thank you for waiting until my team is." How was the mood around Louisville in the post Rick Pitino, post Papa John, post that phase of Louisville athletics? Where now enough time has passed now, where everyone
No
else,
Jurich.
the rest of the country's kind of moved on. Tate and I will never move on
Mhm.
from it all, but the rest of the country's kind of moved on. We're in the new phase of Louisville basketball and everything. Have you settled into the post Pitino life? What's the mood like, Mike?
It's up and down. Like every time that Louisville loses a game like they did on Saturday, Louisville fans instantly forget that Rick Pitino ever lost a game.
Yeah.
It's like if Chris Mack would just press and shoot a billion threes, we'd be winning these games by 45 every
Agreed.
single time out.
Agreed.
And then when Louisville's rolling, everybody's like, I'm so glad we got rid of all these guys. It feels good to feel good about our program again.
Right.
And that's what it comes
Yeah.
down to. And then is it weird that Papa John is strangely more visible these days than Rick Pitino in America? Like we hear more from Papa now than we do from Pitino.
I think Pitino is building his
Somehow Pitino is viewed as a better guy.
Yeah, right.
Like people are like, look, I love Rick. He's the best. Yeah, that's where we are right now. And Papa John, he's wearing blue behind the bench now. And he's full Kentucky.
It's by design. Rick Pitino, he disappeared. He's over in Greece. He's
Yeah.
going to win a lot of games. He's got Dickie V being his mouthpiece.
Mhm.
He's building his strategy to come back.
To the Knicks.
And
yes.
he's been tweeting through it this whole time, and then he's going to come back to the Knicks. Yeah, and Papa John's been in our face a little too much. I think that's the problem.
The other thing too is because you were talking about what's post Louisville like without Papa John, without Papa still lives here, and the best Papa
you call
story
him
is
Papa.
Papa's still here.
It just rolls off the tongue. You're just like, yeah, Papa, yeah.
the Papa's still in the house. He did a full interview where the first 20 minutes here locally were just him explaining about how he legally calls himself Papa, and everybody but his wife calls him Papa. But so we have in Louisville, we have these banners all around town that say so and so's Louisville. Like there's an Ali's Louisville. There's a Diane Sawyer's Louisville, a LeBron's Louisville. We claim people who don't have any relation to Louisville. But Papa John has really wanted one of those for his entire life, and they refused to give him one. So when Jennifer Lawrence got hers a couple of years ago, he was like, well, I know the guy who's making it. We'll just do it all together. Had one made, still didn't get approved to be anywhere. So there's a Papa's Louisville gigantic ass banner in his house. So he's still very much in the city of Louisville. He's still a pretty big figure here.
Oh my God.
We got to see that in his house.
Yeah.
We needed an MTV Cribs with Papa John.
So Louisville, as we said, you guys have lost 2 in a row. You have relinquished the top spot in ACC standings to Duke, who has not won a regular season ACC crown since 2006 outright. They won it in 2010. But Duke is now positioned. First of all, do you feel any responsibility for this as a Louisville fan? Secondly, do you care about winning the ACC? Is this something, because I want to kind of have a discussion to a larger point, because beyond just watching Louisville, you watch a ton of college basketball, and it feels like as the NBA has gotten to a point where the regular season doesn't matter, people are trying to trickle that down into college. And as a guy who grew up in the Big Ten, and the Big Ten has, for the most part, remained unchanged. We've added a few teams, but it's still a massive deal to Big Ten teams to win the Big Ten regular season title. It's still a very big deal. And I'm just curious because a lot of people around the country have differing feelings on this. Mike, how important is it to you that Louisville wins the regular season ACC title?
I care about as much as your dad. That's my go-to, because I think that Purdue fans care a lot, but your dad's like, whatever, we don't care about race.
Right.
I'm kind of more. I'm with Bill Titus.
Okay.
That's my stance. I
Aren't
don't
we all?
care.
Yeah. You put that on a T-shirt with Bill Titus.
I am with Bill Titus. Like everything he said during that, I was like, all right, like this is basically my dad on a podcast.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. But like, I think it would be different if you had the even scheduling like you do in the Pac-12 and the Big 12. Like with the ACC, it feels like you look at Duke's schedule down the stretch, and it's so much easier than, I mean, Louisville's got to go to Florida State and to Virginia, and you just never know. Like the schedule comes out and you play, I guess with a 20-game schedule now, you play 6 teams twice, and you look at it and you're like, I think this is tougher than it should be, or I think, but like this year we had no idea that all these teams were going to suck outside the top 3.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. It's not that big of a deal. I think mostly, I know Chris Max played it up a bunch. He takes it real seriously.
Yeah.
He says, although he's not talking about it as much now as he was a week ago, but like they hyped up the ACC title a bunch. But I think it's more now like you're thinking about your seeding more than you're thinking about winning a regular season title.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, would your answer be different if you had won these last 2 games and you were still in first place?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be the big. We haven't won one since the American.
Yeah.
You know, it's our first ACC regular season title. We've been waiting 5 years.
So is there a conference tournament or a conference regular season race? And we can open up the floor to Tate. You can join in on this thought as well. Let's collectively, the 3 of us, decide. Like, is there a conference regular season race that we're glued in on? Because the Pac-12,
yeah, it's definitely the Pac-12.
The
yeah,
Pac-12,
totally the Pac-12.
half the conference is within one game. But it's also the Pac-12, so it's like
it's a race at the bottom.
Do we care?
Yes.
The Big Ten is now, for all the chaos that's been happening in the Big Ten, it's basically a 2-team race between Penn State and Maryland, which are not original Big Ten members. Not my Big Ten.
No,
get them out.
New Big Ten.
Yeah. Mike, for you, is there a race like, you know, as Louisville?
Is the SEC interesting?
Is it interesting? Are you cheering against Kentucky to blow the SEC? Are you watching the Big East?
Of course.
Or is there anything? Does anything do it for you?
I feel like the Big East is the obvious answer, but I don't want to pander to you guys and the Fox overlords.
Yeah.
Now.
No,
so
please do.
I'm going to steer clear of that. I'm going to go, like, I think the Big 12 with Baylor and Kansas, but mainly just because I want Kansas to start a new streak where they're really, really good every year, but they never win the Big 12 regular season title. And we look back and we're like, do you know how hard it is to be top 5, top 10 every year for 14 straight years without winning a Big 12? Like, this maybe is the most impressive accomplishment that Bill Self has.
That is true.
Like,
and Scott Drew just keeps winning every single year and never in the tournament. You know how hard it is to win the Big 12 every single year and then lose in the second round?
That's the streak I'm interested in. Scott Drew has never won a major conference. Scott Drew has never made a Final Four and never won a regular season conference title. I don't think he's ever won a tournament title either, which is why it's so funny that, like, he is a great coach, but he's never really won anything.
It's just good enough.
So it's just like, he's definitely the best coach that's never won a trophy by far. So I want to keep that narrative alive. I want him to not win a trophy because it's funny. And I want Baylor to, like, lose in, I don't know. Never mind.
Poor Scott Drew.
Oh, man. What about, as I said, you watch a lot of college basketball. Who's your player of the year pick right now? This is
Obi Toppin.
Okay.
Not close.
Okay.
Not
Next
close.
question. Let's move on. I think we're all in agreement, right?
It's Obi.
We're all in
It's
agreement.
been over.
Nope.
It's enough windmills.
No stopping Obi Toppin. It's I mean, if you could watch any player in America for one night and you knew they were going to have a big game, I mean, maybe you'd say Marcus Howard because he could score 40 and threes are a bunch of fun. I feel like Obi Toppin's the obvious answer, though. Like, he does windmills, he blocks stuff, he hits threes. Like, he's the most fun player in college basketball this year.
And they like each other. The whole team likes it. They play together. Yeah. I mean, Danger's a fun team.
I think Toppin has emerged as by far the leading candidate. I know Garza has been great. I see it as we love tiers on this program, the Seth Greenberg tiers. I have Toppin at tier 1. Tier 2 is Garza by himself. I would say tier 3 is in, like, Peyton Pritchard, Miles Powell, Marcus Howard. I think Devon Dotson has to be thrown in there.
Maybe.
Malachi Flynn, just like all the guards that are like, we have to acknowledge you, but let's be honest, you're not actually winning National Player of the Year. That's kind of how I see it. I think it's Toppin by far, and then Garza, and then everyone else kind of.
And still, I don't feel like America or the general public will know who Obi Toppin is when we get to the tournament. People will say, who is that guy? Who is Dayton? Are they really that good? And they'll be treated, you know, like the small school that they really are. But we all know that Loud Nation loves us, and we're going to support them to the top because they're sending us, you know, sweatshirts at this point.
I've got a question for you guys. I'm going to take over the podcast here. Is it weird to you all that Powell versus Howard is not a bigger deal nationally? Because, I mean, Howard leads the nation in scoring, and Powell's like the best player on the team that leads the Big East. I feel like this should be a bigger deal.
This absolutely should be a bigger deal.
What Marquette fan got to you, Mike?
It's become a big deal. It's become a big deal in our world because I don't know, what was it, like 6 months ago we said Miles Powell, we like him a little better, and then like Marquette fans were like, well, they just cracked their knuckles. They're like, well, I guess this is what I'm gonna be doing with my life for the just tweet at these two assholes.
Yeah, forever.
You bring up a good point though, because they both should be first team All-Americans. They're both in the same conference. They both play a similar style in the sense that like if you're not paying a ton of attention, they're just like kind of chuckers. They're not really, but if you're gonna reduce their game down, it's like they both shoot a lot.
Let's pull that
score a
clip
lot.
out. They are definitely just say it. Marcus Howard, a chucker. You know what I mean? Nothing else. Takes a lot of shots. No, we're kidding.
I am surprised because I would say Marcus Howard is the better player, but Miles Powell is winning, and Miles Powell's team plays defense. So it becomes like a litmus test for like what you value, and I feel like all the boomers probably love Miles Powell more because his team's going to win the Big East. Although that's becoming very interesting too. Seton Hall is doing the same thing as Louisville. They lost 2 in a row. It's a 1-game race now, but they're still in first place. Whereas Marcus Howard, goddamn, I'm all over the place. Marcus Howard is like if you just took him, like, because this is the argument.
Let's just say best case scenario if there was a Marcus Powell.
Yeah, Marcus Powell. That's my vote.
We made that player.
If Marcus, as Marquette fans point out to us, Marcus Howard has less help and he has to do it all himself. But then, Mike, the point I make back to them is part of why Marcus Howard has less help is because he ran off the Hauser brothers, and they So I don't know. I agree with you. It is a great debate. I don't understand why this isn't like in a season where we're looking for like juicy stuff to sink our teeth into. I feel like this is a good thing to debate. But yeah, we're not doing it really.
I feel like he's dealing with the Perry Ellis kind of thing where he's been in college basketball. We know Marcus Howard. People have watched him play. And again, Marquette, for whatever reason, people don't really tune in. And now Marquette fans are now typing right now. They are on their computers typing.
Well, does Marcus Howard have an NCAA tournament run in him? I don't remember what Marquette has done. He certainly doesn't have a game. He doesn't have like the Carson. This was what started the whole discussion with us. We kept saying Carson Edwards would be the biggest star in college basketball, and then the Marquette fans say Marcus Howard's a bigger star. We said if Carson Edwards came back after what he did against Virginia, he would be the biggest star by far in college basketball because everyone watched it. And I think that's part of the problem is like, have either of these guys had the moment in March? I don't.
Well, Ja Morant wrecked him in that game last year, the 5-12 game.
That's right. That's right. So
I was going to say he did play in the most memorable first-round game of last year. It just was not memorable for any Marcus Howard reason whatsoever.
It was Ja Morant getting a triple-double and everyone saying, man, this guy should probably be a top 2 pick.
Yeah.
Who's that other guy again?
I think in Marquette's fans' minds, he is 08 Steph Curry coming back in 09. And it's like, why doesn't everybody love our guy? And we're like, because he wasn't 08 Steph Curry like you think he was. He did not do that. And that's probably why people aren't talking about him, right? Because this is a sport that only exists in the zeitgeist for 2 weeks.
But
out of the year
in reality, we are now talking about how we are not talking about him. So he is being talked about.
There you go.
He is a winner.
What is your most controversial college basketball opinion?
Most controversial.
That Louisville is kissing and Kentucky is trying too hard in the rivalry. Yes. Besides that.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, try less, nerds. Like that's the whole point there. I think
Lexington, Kentucky nerds.
Yeah, those famous nerds at the University of Kentucky.
100%.
When I think of the University of Kentucky basketball team, I think of just guys.
Absolutely. I mean, you should. That's it's the new norm. I think that, first of all, have you all been attacked by San Diego State fans? They are way more rabid than I ever would have guessed.
They like us.
No, they like us because we
do a
talk,
Pac-12 update.
Yeah,
and we include them in it. So
we talk about them.
They like to be in the Pac-12.
Well, you don't like San Diego State? Are they not undefeated?
I do.
Are they not undefeated enough for you? Should they be more undefeated, Mike?
Aztec fans, hit the 30-second skip ahead button right here. I think they're going to win out the regular season. I think they're going to pull a 2004 St. Joe's. I think that they win out. They go into the Mountain West tournament undefeated, and they lose the first game. St. Joe's lost, I think, Xavier that year back in 04. I think that exact same thing happens. That's my basketball hot take. Here's my semi-basketball hot take. So for years, the most overblown phrase this time of year has been historically weak bubble. And I wrote about this back in 2017. I went back and I found 25 years of evidence of every single year people talking about it being a historically weak bubble. And then the very next year, the first year that people were ever like, hey, man, the bubble's actually pretty good this year, was the one year in my lifetime where Louisville was on it and didn't get into the NCAA tournament. The year David Patrick was like, everybody like, the bubble's actually friggin' awesome this year. And I was like, well, of course it is. I think historically weak bubble is dead. It's no longer the big catchphrase for those people who are talking about this sort of thing. Here you go. And when I say it, you're going to have already heard it before. This is the new 2020 phrase. Got to get a 68 team somehow.
Oh, I like that.
There
I
it
like
is.
that. That's a good one. Yes.
There it
Trademark
is.
that.
It's
You
gonna
heard it here
keep popping
first.
up.
Yeah. We got to get 68 teams somehow. Yeah, I love that.
Look,
It's
Seth, 68 teams are going to have to play in this tournament.
You're saying the exact same thing as historically weak bubble. It's the exact same.
Yeah,
It's the
exactly.
exact same thing. It's just repackaged. I love it. Yeah, we got to get 68 teams
Purdue's-
somehow.
How is 12 and 16 Purdue a 7 seed? Like this doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Yeah.
And then Seth Davis chimes in. He's like, man, gotta get 68 teams somehow. Keep an ear out. I'm telling you.
Those are all good. I love that.
Are you of the opinion that this is going to be a crazy tournament, or 'cause Tate and I were talking about that. We kind of got into a semi-argument, not really argument with Rothstein. Rothstein doesn't argue; he just kind of talks and we listen and nod along. But Rothstein's of the opinion that like chaos is great in the tournament. Like, give me as much chaos as you, and he points to 2011 as like a great example of how fun it was.
He's like, what a great tournament.
And then I
We're
pointed
like,
out to
"That was a
him, I was like,
horrible
John, that was the worst Final Four title game I think we've ever seen.
tournament." Not in my mind, Mark.
So say Louisville, I don't know. This is a crazy situation that it's going to be hard for you to imagine what this would be like. But say Louisville is banned from an NCAA tournament and can't play. What are you as a neutral fan? What kind of chaos? When we say March Madness and chaos, what kind of chaos are you looking for? Just like we're cheering against Duke and Kentucky and that's it? Is it like, do you want the Rothstein thing where we have like an 11 seed versus an 8 seed in the Final Four? What does Mike Rutherford want?
I think in this particular year, I'm fine with chaos and kind of crappy play in the Final Four. Because if you get the blue bloods, if you get like Kansas versus Duke, everybody's going to say those teams are down anyway. Can you believe this Duke team won a national title when Zion and all those guys didn't? And by the way, I'll give both you guys props too, because you have been continually doing the thing that power conference teams, fans of power conference teams are supposed to do when their teams suck. Like you always have been doing this year sucked.
Yeah.
Like college basketball is
It's
terrible.
not our year. Yeah. It's a down year.
You're a loser. Like,
Absolutely.
Your post Super Bowl pod was like, if you watch the sport, you're
an idiot.
Like, go
What an
start
idiot.
kissing some girls. Like, we're kissing girls. Our team sucks. You guys are watching college basketball. And if you notice the last couple of episodes, like Titus has kind of
I've been more into
like,
it, yeah.
I've got the March feeling again. Like, I'm feeling pretty good about it. I remember why this is so special. And Tate's like, no.
No. Let's be honest. The worst part of that, it was Friday we did that show, or Tuesday, whatever it was. And then I go into the weekend and I watch like a promo, like Titus does this whole package about what a great season it's been. And I was like, what? I was like, what happened? Didn't we just say it was a terrible season? And it was like, this streak ended, this thing happened. I was like, oh, maybe it has been a great year.
After we did that show right after the Super Bowl, you're talking about everyone that says the historically weak bubble thing. Someone pointed out to me that Tate and I do this every year. We're like, as soon as we hit conference play and our teams start to lose a little bit, we come in and do a podcast, and the start of February,
We
where
just
we're
wish
like,
it was better.
we're like, man, I don't know, college basketball. It's been kind of weird this year, right?
We're kind of like Dino Gaudio. It's like as soon as we hit that point in the season, we're kind of out. We're like, yeah, I think we're over.
At least,
But that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Like the year, like 2013, when Louisville was awesome and killing everybody, and Kentucky sucked, and they were going to go to the NIT. Like every UK fan in the world was like, "Well, who cares? It's a down year for college basketball." And I was like, "Okay, are we not supposed to be good?" Like but that's what everybody.
How do you
does.
feel about the Astros not losing their title for actually cheating in the actual game, and you guys losing your title for hiring strippers to get naked?
The Astro comparisons have been flying around the city. Like you guys are making jokes. Like every joke you can make about like that Louisville fans can be pissed off about, they've 100% been pissed off about. They're like, Jose Altuve was getting like signed. I'm like, oh my god, like whatever. Like, what are you gonna do? But yeah, it's frustrating.
Well, I mean, I saw Manfred actually said that they're not taking the title away because it's just a piece of.
Yeah,
It's
he's
just like
like,
a piece of
he's
metal.
like, he's like this
Who cares?
hunk
It's
of
just
junk.
a hunk of junk.
It's like, I think you just devalued your entire league, my friend.
Nobody actually cares, and then meanwhile, Luke Hancock's like, I care. Luke Hancock's gonna petition to like
It's
get
like,
the.
please, 2013 happened.
He's gonna petition on the.
He's got the banner up.
I know. It's great.
We have a banner now. I don't know what you guys.
That would be
talking about.
awesome if Luke Hancock petitioned to get the Astros title removed. If he led the charge to. This is what Luke
Gets the
Hancock does.
signatures, yeah.
This is the new phase of Luke Hancock's life. Is he just goes around and finds injustices in sports, and he sets them
And
right.
then reports from the ACC network what's going on with the Astros.
What else do we have to talk to Mike about, Tate?
I just want to ask Mike, again, we're going to bring up Kentucky. I mean, you talk about a historically bad season. They're still number 10 in the country. They still have a really good team, and it does feel like John Calipari is 1 foot out the door. So what is the rumor? What does the rumor mill look like in Kentucky? Are people excited about the idea of Calipari going to New York, or is that just me making that up?
Everybody's made it
Okay,
up, but
great.
it's still
I'm
fun.
gonna
It's still
keep
fun.
saying it until it happens.
No, we love it. I mean, Kentucky fans are doing the whole. First of all, the last time that he had an NBA rumor was a full 11 months ago, and they gave him a lifetime contract
for 10 years.
For 10 years.
Does he get an afterlife contract now? Like,
Yeah.
is it like after you die, you get buried center court Rupp Arena and people have to play around your headstone? Like that's the only thing that there is left with the NBA rumors to combat them. But it's not going to happen. I mean, Kentucky, they're fine this year. To go back to where we started before we cut off on it, like all these tangents, which is totally my
Well,
fault.
that's the podcast.
Like,
yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, the tournament this year, if it is going to get wild and you're going to I don't want 2014 more than I don't want 2011. I don't want in 2014, I don't think that half the country is aware that a 7 seed played an 8 seed in the national title game because it was UConn versus Kentucky.
Right.
Like, I don't want 6 seed Kentucky playing, 4 seed Florida. Florida State would be weird. But if we're going to have weird seeds, make them weird teams. That's my only ask if it's going to get weird this far.
Yeah, I'm with you. So my final question before we go. If Pitino, I just thought of this randomly because you're talking about how Cal doesn't want to leave Kentucky, and then I thought about how Pitino always calls Kentucky Camelot, and he always speaks so fondly of Kentucky and everything. Is there actually ill will between Pitino and Louisville? And on the heels of the Bob Knight thing, can you envision a world where Pitino comes back and is at half court waving to Louisville people? What is that like? I should have asked that earlier when we were talking about Pitino. It just hit
Will
me.
Pitino get the Bob Knight moment?
Yeah, will he get a Bob Knight moment, or is he completely out? I honestly don't even know how he feels about Louisville, or is it just like I hate the administration and now I'm over it, or what?
Well, he said he did kind of like the reverse Bob Knight thing where he's like, I'll never come back until Papa John, Greg Postal, and David Grissom, who were the interim president and the interim board of trustees, had till they're all gone. Like all those dudes are gone. Like Papa John got fired in disgrace. The Grissom guy, like David Grissom, had to pretty much resign in disgrace. He had a bunch of things that went poorly. The interim president stepped down eventually. Like Rick is kind of like he's doing like a Kill Bill thing where he's checking off all these people.
We just hit list.
He may eventually come back. Like don't piss the man off. Like everybody that he has called out has had something terrible happen.
I mean. It kind of happened with Knight, too, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, Miles Brand died. Neil Reed literally died.
We're not saying that we're investigators or that we're, but maybe check in on all that.
Yeah.
Maybe that sounds like the FBI. That's something they should do.
Mike.
It's Hall of Fame for a reason, man.
Mike, we appreciate you coming on the show. You're a great sport. We could have had you on at any point in the season, and we chose when Louisville was on a 2-game losing streak. We appreciate the insight. This is the part of the show where I would plug something for you. I asked you before, what do you want me to plug?
No plugs.
You said no plugs. You said please don't plug anything.
No.
What's the deal with the radio show? You were part of the iHeart nonsense?
I was.
Yeah.
I made the savvy veteran play to get laid off right before the other jobs really ratchet up in March. So got that out of the way in January. Check out SBNation.com. Great college basketball coverage. CardChronicle.com for all your Louisville coverage. And we started a podcast a few months ago, too, which has been a lot of fun. So check that out.
It's weird. I'll have to check my email and find where you invited me to come on. I must have lost that must have gone to the spam folder or something.
I'm waiting for Ohio State to tank again. Is the whole thing. Can we say, you joke about this is like the third time in the last couple of years where you've been like, we need to have you on to talk about Louisville under the radar killing people, and then right after we've had that conversation, Louisville has just completely crapped all over.
I have the receipts. I literally texted him before the 2-game losing streak. I was like, we got to have you on soon, man, because Louisville's kind of flying under the radar right now. I feel like you guys are ranked 5th, but no one really knows it. You're leading the ACC. No one really knows it.
Dino Gaudio.
Mike, thank you so much. We got to come to the Kentucky Derby, by the way.
Yes.
When we came to the side, I'm going to tell a little tale out of school possibly here, but when we did the live show in Louisville, you came. I think Breeders' Cup was going on. You showed up like 5 minutes before you were supposed to go on stage because you had been at Churchill Downs the entire day. And that's when I realized that you are degenerate. You love horse racing more than any person I know. And that's when I realized I need to come to Kentucky Derby with you. So let's set that up.
We also realized that we were going to announce you to bring you on stage. And when we walked on stage, you just walked with us.
Yeah, that is true.
And we were like,
call out
Mike is lit.
We said,
we kind of like this.
Mike, we sit him down. We're like, all right, here's the plan. So Tate and I are going to walk out. We're going to say hi to everybody. We're just going to kind of do like an opening little bit. And then we're going to introduce you like in 3 minutes. Like, just give us 3 minutes, Mike. He's like, cool. And then they're like, whatever, Titus and Tate, everybody. We walk out. Mike's just carrying a beer. He's like walking
with
right
a chair.
behind
You get a chair. He just slaps the chair down. He's like, let's get it going. It was great.
When you hit a pick 5 on Breeders' Cup Day, you do whatever you want for the rest of the day. You guys literally scheduled that on the busiest day in the history of Louisville. We had that. Louisville played Clemson in football. The actual basketball team was playing in an exhibition while we were doing the live show. So timing's always been your
It
own
was
thing.
it was the word. We had nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
but you know,
we just showed
that's
up.
the way it goes.
Yeah.
Mike, thank you so much. This was a pleasure. We'll have you on. I promise we'll have you on at
Louisville
some
will come
point
back,
when Louisville is doing well. You guys make the Sweet 16. You have my word. You can come on the show.
Don't blame Chris
Don't.
Mack.
All right.
That's a low bar to clear.
Mhm.
What could possibly go wrong?
Cleveland State.
Well, I'm excited to be on like the hours after we get beat in the second round. So that'll be a whole lot of fun. And do come to the Derby. We'll tell you all why it's way better than the Indianapolis 500.
Oh God.
Five times better than the Indianapolis
Oh my
500.
God.
We'll show you.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
See you, Mike. All right, thank you again to Mike Rutherford, SB Nation Card Chronicle. I know he said no plugs, but
Also
we're
nowhere.
plugging, yeah,
But also everywhere.
yeah. I'll be honest, Tate, part of why I wanted to have Mike on is because I was hoping he would be more optimistic. I wanted to have him on to be like, Mike, Louisville sucks now, and for him to say, no, we don't. We're just fine. We just got to get back on track, and we'll be good. And he was like, yes, we suck. I'm hitting the panic button. It's an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, it wasn't even like any sort of upside. I mean,
No,
he kind
it
of was just like,
wasn't.
yeah, it seems like the season's over. It was fun when we were number 1, and it's gone.
And the Derby's in a few months, so that'll be cool.
Come
Can't
on
wait for that.
down. We'll go to any horse race.
Before we get out of here, we have to talk about John Beeline. During the All-Star game, Woj tweets that, like, right as the All-Star game is getting good, not just during it. It wasn't during the orchestrated part, like you said, the first and second quarters when everyone's dunking. It was, like, right when everything's competitive and everyone's locked in. Woj is like, oh, by the way, the Cavs and John Beeline are probably going to part ways this week. It's probably going to happen.
Probably.
They're going to have a discussion about their future together, which, I mean,
which sounds like they
in
already
what-
had a
yeah,
discussion
in
about
what
the
world-
future, and it did not go great.
in what world are they going to come out of that room and say, wow, we should really continue this for sure?
Let's double down on this. And also, we should point out, Beeline signed a 5-year deal. So
Yeah.
this was supposed to be,
Beeline-
his,
when Beeline-
his whole baby. He's gonna make a
When
run.
he signed the 5-year deal, he had to know he wasn't going to stick around for 5 years, right? Like, there's no way. Even when he did it, like, we knew. I thought he had to have known there's a 10% chance this is going to be successful.
Look, I don't
And
think
if
he
it's
thought
not-
that his team would play like slugs. You know what I mean? And I think that when that happened, he was just like, this is not what I thought it would be.
Here's my proposal, because Michigan fans are up in arms about this, because if Beeline, they just don't want to see Beeline back in college at all. One, just the whole idea of John Beeline coaching another team is just weird. It just messes with your head. 2, you don't want to play against the guy, because that could happen. That no matter where he ends up, you might play him in the NCAA tournament. That would be really weird. So Michigan fans are up in arms. They do not like this at all. I have a solution, Tate. Why don't the Cavs in Michigan just switch coaches?
Yeah, trade. Make a trade.
Does Juwan Howard not want to coach in the NBA? Is this not what, like, I feel like Michigan is the only college job he's interested in because it's Michigan, it's his alma mater. Otherwise, he would have no interest whatsoever in college
And guess what
basketball.
else this does, right?
What?
This connects the tissue between the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers
Right.
and LeBron James, because
And
Juwan
then bring
Howard,
LeBron home.
Exactly. He's coming back. He's coming home. And it's just like he got the Fab Five back to Michigan for 1 year. They won the Bahamas, and then he's
This is
like,
a great
all right,
idea.
I'm going back to the NBA.
Cleveland, set the groundwork to bring LeBron and Bronny Jr.
To Cleveland.
That's how you get LeBron back, is you draft, you continue to tank, but then hire Juwan Howard, draft Bronny Jr. number 1, because everyone knows Bronny Jr. is going to be the number 1 pick
Yes,
in whatever
of course.
draft he
Lock
comes
it
out.
in.
Lock,
Yeah.
Of
Lock it
course. And then LeBron comes back home to play with his son in Cleveland.
Yes.
Done and done. And then John Beeline goes to Michigan.
I'm coming home again.
He's going to Texas, correct?
NSI exclusive.
It's got to happen. I wish I would have paid more attention to what Rothstein was saying when we were asking him which coaches are going to get fired. He was droning on and on about contracts and what. I was like, just tell us, is he going to get fired, John?
Yes.
Beeline's got to go to Texas, and if he's not going to Texas, he's going to Texas. Like, if I feel like we're starting the clock right now, and until Texas hires someone other than Shaka Smart, or until John Beeline gets another job, that is all we're going to hear about is John Beeline to Texas. One of those two things has to happen. Where else would he go?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying in my head.
He's not going to Wake Forest.
I know.
Who else is?
I was thinking about ACC schools. That were
IU's
open.
not. If IU was open, but
Yes.
IU's not firing Archie. There's like a 0% chance they're firing Archie. 0.
Mm-hmm.
Lock it in. I'm gonna look at the camera.
0%.
There's no chance they're firing Archie this year. They might fire him next year. They're not firing him this
This
year.
is gonna be pretty close. But like, if you were really, if Ohio State was, if this was a rivalry like a North Carolina Duke, the most savage thing that they could do right now is pull a Babe Ruth and just say, Chris, really appreciate
You
it.
mean like Louisville did with Patino?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
say we want John Beeline to
Yeah.
be at our school, and that would really, people in Ann Arbor, their heads would explode.
No, the savage thing to do is Chris Holtman tweets right now that
he's taking the Cavs job.
No, dude,
I'm going to the Cavs.
The most savage thing you could possibly do is if you're Chris Holtman, you offer John Beeline your associate head coaching position on your staff.
You're number 2, my right hand.
You hire
You're my coach Yost.
You hire him to be your assistant coach,
Mm.
and that is just a slap in the face for like he's never been an assistant in his entire career. Like if Holtman tweeted that right now, that'd be the most badass thing ever. If he was just like, John, I heard you lost your job. We got an opening here in Columbus if you want to be my number 2.
Who do you like?
That's savage.
It would be great, but also I want to know who started this whole train of thought because I feel like Beeline is the one that wants to leave the NBA, which I find for us as
I do think-
basketball fans, I think that he realized he was tired of.
I
the
don't think
brands.
Beeline's a victim in this because
No.
I do think Cleveland is scapegoating him. I think like Cleveland's an absolute disaster.
They're getting ahead of the
Dan
story.
Gilbert sucks. Their talent sucks. Like the
Kobe
whole
Altman.
franchise sucks. Whatever. But I also think that Beeline doesn't want to be there. I don't think Beeline's like gonna cry over this. I think Beeline was like, I tried it, but that's why I said I think when he took the job, he said, and if this turns out to be a miracle, maybe I get a coach in the NBA for a little while. I make the playoffs, compete for an NBA title at some point, like a few years down the road, something happens. But even if it doesn't, worst case scenario, I took a shot at it. I left Michigan in a way that Michigan fans couldn't be that upset because it's not like he just abruptly retired. It's not like he.
No, it was an upgrade.
It was like an upgrade. Like if you're a Michigan fan, you have to say, "I understand. I'm happy for Coach." You know, so like he left Michigan in a good standing. I think that was his thought process. It was like, I know I'm gonna get fired, but I got to take a chance. I'm getting older. I mean, he's 67, right? How many more years is he really gonna coach? So he's like, "Why not? I'll just go for it at the end of my career. And if I get fired, maybe I hang it up." But I don't think he's gonna hang it up. I think he's going back to Texas. I think it
wanna
has
kn-
to because I think Texas is gonna back a dump truck up to him.
But will they pay out the $15 million or whatever they have to owe Shaka Smart, as John Rothstein kept telling us? But sure, they will.
Let's get McConaughey on the pod. and
Yeah,
discuss with him.
he'll make it happen. John Beeline would be perfect at Texas because he's very similar to Rick Barnes, but maybe a nicer version of Rick Barnes, or at least a less loud version of Rick Barnes, if that makes any sense. Not willing to fight Dean Smith on the sideline. John Beeline's a more classy version, I guess, of a Rick Barnes at Texas, if you want to put it that way. But I don't believe that Shaka can get let go by Texas because they're still trying to convince themselves that they were right. That Shaka was the future.
Oh, it's
They're
a
not
sunk
done
cost.
yet.
It's a sunk cost
No, they're
situation.
going to
where
keep
it's like,
doing this whole thing.
yeah.
It's a loop. And the same way that
It's just-
Carolina's lost in a loop,
okay.
they're going to be in a loop. And John Beeline's going to say, you know what? I'm going to go to Florida. And then Mike White's going to go, I'm going to go to Duke.
I
And
don't
Coach
think-
K is going to go, I'm going to go to hell.
I don't think I don't think
I'm
Beeline
kidding.
I don't think Beeline's going. I really don't. If as I'm looking at the landscape of coaches that could get realistically fired this year,
Yes.
I think Texas is the only one Beeline would take. He's not going to Wake Forest. He's not going. Who else is like Greg Gard's probably not going to get fired anyway.
He wouldn't go to Wisconsin.
But he wouldn't go to Wisconsin if that opened up. Certainly not. I don't think he's going anywhere in the Big Ten other than like IU. But that's not happening. Archie's not getting fired this year. So I don't know. What about UCLA?
I know. If you're UCLA, you have to be kicking yourselves.
But this is great for us because he's going to. If he doesn't take the Texas job, like I said, he's just going to linger over college basketball. He's going to be a name that just like at all times people are going to say,
go to ESPN.
hire.
Go to Bristol. Be on the table panel.
But
whatever
I'm saying
they
it's
have.
great for us, Tate, because a team loses 3 in a row,
Mhm.
and then we can say we can float rumors. John
Yeah.
Beeline, maybe make the call.
Mhm.
You know who else, by the way?
Arizona would be great.
Arizona. You know, it'd be interesting next year. So let the legal thing play out because Avenatti is doing all he can.
Mhm.
Shout out! I was gonna give a shout out to Avenatti at the end of the show,
Please.
but we could do it now. Who is what do you get? 40 years in prison? He tried to extort Nike. That's tough. That's tough. He could use one of his phone calls to call into the show. I think so. We could set that up.
Can I tell a
What?
quick aside about Chuck Person, who was at Auburn, who was
Yeah.
involved in this whole situation? A person told me a story this weekend that Chuck Person, who this player hated when they played each other way back in the day,
Yeah.
he had been called as a character witness for Chuck Person in this whole case, and they called his office and they were like, well, Chuck Person says that you would vouch for him as a good guy or whatever, and he was like, you tell him that I've always hated him and to lose my contact. And I just always thought about that when you're reaching out for someone to be a character witness and for that to be the response, like that really has to hurt you as a character. But we'll go back. That Chuck Person, we had to bring it back.
Man, Avenatti, love the man. So say Arizona, Sean
Yes.
Miller gets fired next year, not this
Mhm.
year, next year, because like something comes to light. The tapes are released. Mick Cronin, who is 1 game back of first place in the
Yes,
Pac-12,
riding
right now.
high right now.
But something happens and UCLA hits the eject button next year. Do you realize a man whose buyout, who buyout? I don't know if buyout's the right term. He was getting paid his full contract for 3 years after he was fired. Who is no longer, the 3 years has passed. He's no longer has an income. Thad Matta is who I'm talking about, Tate. Thad Matta and John Beilein go to UCLA and Arizona and rekindle. They take the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry. They move it west. They're at UCLA and Arizona. I don't care who ends up where. I feel like Thad at Arizona and Beilein at UCLA makes the most sense for brand purposes. And away we go. And scene.
That would be great for everyone. And I think UCLA fans would be very happy about that. But Mick Cronin would probably, I don't know what would happen on the way out, but it would not be fun for anyone.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not for those boots. You'd be stomping a whole lot.
What else before we go?
I just want to shout out, basically, college basketball is, as much as I have griped about this season, after seeing the NBA experience, I'm very happy about what we have. College basketball, at least there's some sort of pure basketball going on at some level. Again, you can blame the coaches, you can blame the players for the product, but at least basketball is being played. It's not about branding. Congratulations to college basketball.
Yeah. You're out on the NBA. You like the NBA more than I did.
I have always loved the ABA way more than the NBA. I think the NBA is a bunch of posers who stole everything good from the ABA.
Should we start the XBA? Should we start
again?
The XBA?
Fox does not have rights to the NBA, right? So we can go.
Correct.
We can go with them. No, okay. But no. So I learned a lot about college basketball. I'm appreciative of college basketball.
I want to give a shout out to Dana O'Neill, college basketball reporter. I believe she's at the Athletic still.
Was it ESPN for a while? Right?
ESPN for a while. She tweeted today, "Let's quash this stuff before it gets started. Source told me Jay Wright is not going anywhere. Not to the Knicks, not to the Sixers, not to Oz. His house is for sale. He's not.
What about Camelot?"
And when I saw that tweet, I said to myself, "Oh my God, Jay Wright's house is for sale. He's going to the Knicks." This was some Streisand effect going on here. I had no idea that this was like a thing. But then Dana O'Neill tweeted, "He's definitely not going to the Knicks. His house is just for sale. Don't worry." And I was like, holy shit, his house is for sale. What does that mean?
Which is very funny because Ocean City, New Jersey, which is the new hub of the New York Knicks, is where people in Philadelphia go to vacation when they want to go to the beach in New Jersey right there. So I'm sure Jay Wright is maybe taking a trip, maybe, have a meeting or something.
I looked it up. Jay Wright's wife went to Villanova. And this is a little tip for all you out there that like to connect dots with rumors and coaching searches and all that. Just follow the wives. Wherever the wives are from, that's where... That's what the Sean Miller to Maryland situation. That's my favorite example of that. When Sean Miller was at Arizona, before Maryland hired Turgeon, there were rumors they were going to hire Sean Miller, and everyone said his wife is allergic to the desert, so he's going to go to Maryland. And it's a great train of thought, Tate. Anytime you can connect it to the wife, it's a great train of thought.
Yeah. The problem with Roy Williams did not want to leave Lawrence, Kansas, did not want to go to Chapel Hill the first time.
The problem with this, so like anytime, like that's Chris Mack, right? That's a Chris Mack situation. Chris Mack's wife's from Louisville.
Yes.
That's how that happened.
Yeah, he had to go.
Yeah, he had to go.
It wasn't about the $10 million. It was about my wife, who I love so much.
Dude, I brought it up with Rutherford. I think we're onto something here. It's Christy Mack, correct?
Yes, Christy. It's Chris and Christy.
Chris and Christy. I don't mean to point fingers at Christy Mack, but the man took the job for her at Louisville. It certainly wasn't the tripling of salary or whatever.
No.
And then every year around Valentine's Day, the wheels fall off because he's probably trying to appease his wife so much. Like, grow a backbone, Chris Mack. My God. Is that the problem, you think? I don't know. But connect the dots with the wives. The point I was making here, Tate, is Jay Wright's wife is a Villanova lady, so I think he's going to stick around. I think that kills everything.
She could still be in Philadelphia.
But what if she's from New York? Makes you think.
Maybe. Who would have thought?
Any other shout-outs before we go?
I just want to shout out Mitchell and Ness because they brought me to Chicago, and I was able to set up a podcast. And for all the people that came up to me and said they love our podcast and asked me how Ellen was going, I don't work at Ellen. I have to officially let that be known. I do not work at Ellen. It's official. I'm sorry.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't
that
work
was
at
a
Ellen.
bit?
Yeah, that was a bit. I don't work at Ellen. But I like the idea that I could work at Ellen, and she seems like a very great boss.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah. So all the Chicago guys that came up to me and said, "Love the podcast, love Ellen." 1 for 2, 1 for 2. Still 500.
Oh God, I want to shout out Herbert Jones of Alabama, who shot one-handed free throws against LSU.
Love that.
You saw this?
Yeah.
He broke his left hand. He had surgery on his left hand, on his left wrist. He is left-handed, so he learned how to shoot free throws right-handed. He had 17 rebounds in this game, one-handed, and then he gets fouled. Alabama, they were up 18. They almost let an 18-point lead slip away against LSU. They're up 2 with like a minute and a half left, and he goes to the line and shoots 2 free throws right-handed and hits them both. Ice cold. We have to shout that out.
And let me just say this. All I could think when I saw that was Carolina missed 19 free throws against Duke. With 2 hands. With 2 hands. Ridiculous.
This guy shot one-handed. I also want to shout out Rocket Watts, who had the worst floor slapping since Jayshawn Tate threw out his shoulder against Nebraska when he got blown by as he slapped the floor. Rocket Watts, Michigan State, takes a 7-point lead, I believe it was, against Maryland with like 2.5 left. It's a must-win game for Michigan State. Have to win it to keep in the Big Ten race. They were going to win it. They're at home. The nation turned their eyes to this scene in East Lansing. Michigan State takes a 7-point lead. Rocket Watts slaps the floor. Maryland goes on a 14-0 run and wins by 7 and basically clinches the Big Ten. If they don't clinch it, they at least knock Michigan State out of the race to where now it's Maryland and Penn State. So 14-0 run to end the game after Rocket Watch slapped the floor with 2.5 minutes left.
And I think, again, for all the Maryland fans that get upset with us, the reason we're not talking about you is because as soon as we do start talking about you
don't want us to
legitimately,
talk about
it's over. So
you have
this is
SVP
good.
for that.
Yeah.
You don't want.
He's coming down.
You want
right?
him to talk about it. Yeah. Anyway.
He's going to be in Washington, D.C. soon, so it's going to become a whole Maryland thing.
You want
soon.
him to talk about it
Yeah.
anyway. You don't want us to talk about it. Right?
Yeah.
We'll leave it. We'll leave it to the professionals. Lastly, I want to shout out Baylor and West Virginia being played on ESPN Plus. 2 back-to-back games that West Virginia was on ESPN. They played Kansas on ESPN Plus and Baylor on ESPN Plus. So congratulations to ESPN for the 12 subscriptions you sold.
ESPN's not on Fox, right? All right.
Tate's learning how media works. That's it, Tate. Anything else?
No, that's it. I'm very excited for this week. Pac-12 update coming up.
Pac-12 update coming later in the week. Thank you guys for listening. Special thank you to Mike Rutherford coming on when his team is sucking. Very brave of him to do that. We will see you guys Friday.
For the best access, perspective, and personalities in all of sports, follow us at Fox Sports on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.